So I noticed something quite interesting about XEBEC that could translate into something quite interesting that parallels him with Buggy and oddly Luffy. So in the breakdown of his various entries in various Davy back fights to gain more crew members, we see him with an axe. Of course, we know the axe is not his main weapon. That was just probably a part of that game of that certain Davy back fight that he was in order to gain some crewmate at some point. So with that being said, there's a relationship being established between using an axe and using that axe for crewmates in some way. This then translates into Buggy because Buggy uses a giant axe during the events of Impel Down. Of course, you know, the axe too is not Buggy's main weapon. But what's interesting about Impel Down is that that's where he got the majority of the crew that he has now in the present, both as the president of Buggy's delivery service and now as the president of Cross Guild, because all the Impel Down cronies do join him after that arc, and then later Crocodile and Das Bones join him as a part of Cross Guild. So it's quite funny that in both situations, both XEBEC and Buggy used an axe that's not their main weapon, and in using said axe, they gain crewmates. With XEBEC, it's quite literal because he used an axe in a Davy backfight, but with Buggy, it's quite figurative because he just so happened to be using an axe, and then in using that axe, he just happened upon people who wanted to join his crew because he was charismatic. But where this takes a turn is with Luffy. You see, during the Kuma flashback in which Kuma was spying on Luffy while he was training, Luffy was practicing the move Gum Gum Battle Axe. He said this would be his finishing move to protect his crewmates if they ever got into trouble. This comes to a head way later, chronologically, in the Arlong Park arc, in which he demolishes Arlong Park with Gum Gum Battle Axe. So, while Luffy intended to use his figurative axe to protect his crewmates, Buggy and XEBEC use an axe, both literally and metaphorically, to gain crewmates. And I just found that very interesting. But with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede. What's it?